3i Atlas continues to be a strange object as it gets out of its perihelion. We have seen multiple changes and new anomalies added to it, which we'll look at in this video. And then another very strange thing that I've heard pretty much no one talk about in relation to this subject that makes this even weirder, in my opinion. So first, let's look at some of the updates of the anomalies in connection with 3i Atlas. Here is the Angry Astronaut YouTube channel, new 3i Atlas photos. But here he talks just about a little bit of the anomalies. Then we'll get to the even newer news of the strange things surrounding this.
But instead, what we have is 3i Atlas again behaving strangely, becoming extremely active and extremely bright. And again, even though it was expected that 3i Atlas would become more active as it got closer to the sun, it's going off the charts, and nobody can explain why. And then, after I've given you the latest news on all of that, it also needs to be discussed as to what's going on with China. Everybody is talking about the NASA images that were allegedly captured when every orbiter that NASA had at its disposal turned around and photographed 3i Atlas as it made a close approach with Mars. And of course, these photos have not been released, ostensibly because of the government shutdown. But nobody seems to be talking about the fact that China also is not revealing any information about 3i Atlas, even though they too have an orbiter around Mars that also took pictures of 3i Atlas. Not only that, China had a number of observatories, a number of other instruments that were heavily involved in tracking 3i Atlas and providing all of that information to the public. But immediately after NASA shut down all of its communication with the world, China did as well. And it's not like they're going through a government shutdown.
This is good. This is a good point. I mean, why are all the other agencies and governments around the world, Russia, China, I think India has a decent space program, why are they not taking pictures of this, especially China, when they have the same orbiters and they could easily take pictures and then release that to us? But just because the government shutdown in America happens, then no one else is releasing information? That's not really adding up. It's kind of starting to sound like, oh, America went to the moon and all these other nations decided, well, we're not going to do it because who knows why? Makes no sense. So here's the new news, and then we'll get into a very strange thing surrounding 3i Atlas, again, that I've heard not very many people talk about, actually right after one more update. But here are the two new things that happened after 3i Atlas got from the opposite side of the sun, closest to the sun, its perihelion. NASA report detects first signs of non-gravitational acceleration in interstellar comet 3i Atlas near perihelion. This is what people were saying. Would this 3i Atlas take the gravitational slingshot from the sun and create a diversion in its course? Well, it appears it did speed up at a rate that is not due to the gravitational pull from the sun. So, of course, the two theories here are the first one, this comet is made up of a bunch of different stuff. As it got close to the sun, it's been burning. And I mean, it's really not that close to the sun, but as it's gotten as close as it will to the sun, it's burning off stuff, and that's causing it to accelerate. That's the main scientific theory. Obviously, the only other explanation is that it's intelligently controlled and it's accelerating by some other force, some artificial force. Those are the only two explanations. At the same time, is what we've seen is that it appeared very bluer than the sun, something that was not expected, obviously, to happen, and they have really no very good explanation to it. The visual data from this comet introduced another deep puzzle in appearance. It's demonstrably bluer than the sun. The finding is highly unexpected for a natural comet, according to Loeb's Medium blog. The object surface, which is roughly an order of magnitude colder than 5,800 Kelvin on the solar photosphere, should cause it to exhibit a redder color. But what we're seeing is it's more blue in color. This adds to 3i Atlas a ninth anomaly in relation with all the anomalies surrounding this object. Again, as the anomalies pile up, it's making people think that there's something more going on here. Now, I do want to talk about this before we get into the other really strange news, in my opinion, which is that at the same time that this has all been happening, and while 3i Atlas was behind the sun, what we have here is that we've just had one of the most intense periods of solar activity in decades on the sun's far side, with 6 big coronal mass ejections. And those hyperactive sunspots are turning Earth-facing in just a few days. This November could get nuts. This will cause a lot of aurora borealis in America, or around the world, not just America. And so that's interesting that that's happening at the same exact time, especially on the backside of the sun, which is facing 3i Atlas. Some people are hypothesizing that it's causing the sun to do that. We have shown, I put it in one of my last videos on 3i Atlas, that weird object that was definitely around the sun and taking energy from it. And it was like a sphere, a cloaked sphere. Very odd. I'll throw that image up again here. So strange things surrounding it. And yes, again, now we have new anomalies. It's changing. The course has changed in a non-gravitational way. It has sped up, and now it's glowing way more blue than would be expected. More anomalies adding to this whole thing. Now, here is the thing that as I've been looking to this recently, I've noticed a lot more of this, way more of this than I thought was actually going on. Here, Stefan Burns, I've showed many of his clips. That was his Twitter in the last screen. But I noticed that at the end of his videos, he's making, references to his spiritual tea and his crystals and his stuff on his shop. There's a spiritual, new age spiritual component associated with this. I believe that this whole alien deception, as it comes upon the earth, as the governments around the world reveal that UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomenon, non-human biologics, crashed UFOs, all of this stuff is becoming mainstream news. At the same time, what we're going to see is a mass spiritual deception. Because when these aliens come to people, when they abduct them, when they encounter them, when all of these people here, which is very odd that we're seeing all these people remote viewing and trying to spiritually access 3i Atlas, they're getting false information, occult teachings, lies about evolution and beings on other planets, everything that would just discount the Bible, and people would read it and say, well, none of this is in the Bible. This makes no sense. If there's little beings like this blue person here on other planets, what does Jesus and human beings have to do? Jesus died for humanity. What about these blue people? It just brings in a massive deception and the possibility of the different prophecies that are told in the Bible that are coming of a great deception, a big lie. People will believe the lie. They'll be led astray. The coming of the lawless one is with all power signs and lying wonders. And so it makes sense that this is growing at the same time, but it's weird that there is this connection to 3i Atlas. So many people remote viewing it. So many people drawing this and saying that it's activated them. It's activating consciousness. And even Stefan Burns, we can hear him in this clip here talking about this whole kind of new age spiritual thing in relation to 3i Atlas.
The important thing as it relates to 3i Atlas is that there's this media story right now about aliens and aliens may fly out and all this. When that doesn't happen, which I think is probably the most likely scenario, then it's okay, nothing happened here, nothing to see. And the thing is, there actually is going to be this huge influx of galactic consciousness that comes through as a result of its transit and these plasma dynamics. We don't need the alien ships to have this new information, understanding, and consciousness come in. So when maybe and most likely these alien ships don't fly out of 3i Atlas, it's not like it did nothing. It really is actually, that's kind of like the ruse. That's like the deception. It's already interacting with this level of plasma consciousness and beyond. It will continue to do so until it leaves the solar system.
So that's what these people, these new age guys are saying, is they're saying it's creating a consciousness in us. It's awakening things. This guy here was saying that he remote viewed 3i Atlas and there's reptilian beings on this thing. Tons of people saying that type of stuff. So it's just weird that the demons that are lying to these people when they do these remote view sessions are telling them the alien lie, the alien deception, that there's other beings. They evolved on other planets. They're here to help us. They want to stop nuclear war. I mean, they want to help with the climate. This is the complete demonic deception behind this whole alien thing. The entire thing. It's a demonic deception, and that's exactly why these guys who open themselves up in a remote demonic viewing session, then the demons come in and tell them, there's beings on the rock, there's beings on 3i Atlas, you're going to be awakened to the truth, you're going to have a higher level of consciousness. It's a complete demonic deception. We saw the same thing with the people demonically connecting to the 2012 Mayan calendar, the awakening of consciousness they thought would happen then. They do it all time and time again, and now it's happening again with 3i Atlas. And now this whole 2027 thing is this new level of consciousness and awakening that the demons are lying to these people and telling them.
Is 3i Atlas the beginning of this journey to this massive change in 2027? What did you remote view, or what have you learned from your content?
When I saw 3i Atlas, I basically saw what was yet to come. and all of its potential negative aspects or positive aspect.
Mhm.
And then you have the 2027 remote viewing sessions, which to me seemed a bit more positive. And again, with these tiered probabilities of AI and open contact.
Just want to pause there and mention that the 2027 thing sparked and grew off multiple things. John Ramirez, a guy who worked for the CIA, probably still getting directions from the CIA. He's going on podcasts saying that we're going to have alien. I don't think he said the mothership thing, but he said that something is coming, alien disclosure in 2027. We know that's when it's going to happen. Jeremy Corbell said that he's been given information, that people have been trying to feed him this information, and through declassified leaked documents, trying to get him to push a 2027 alien disclosure narrative. And now we're seeing it with all these other things. Now 2027 is this new year of this. Keep that in mind. Stuff will for sure happen. Stuff's going to happen every single year. So it's pretty easy to say this. Then when something big happens, the people who, contact these demons and stuff like that, or these CIA agencies who are pushing this stuff, when they come out and then things happen, then they say, see, look, we said it. Very easy to do. You could say something big is coming in 2027. Yes, something big will happen because something big happens every single year. So just be on alert for that deception. Now let's hear a little bit more of what this guy's saying, because it's good to know what they're believing, because this is to be aware of the deceptions that these forces are trying to release upon the earth.
So my first impression was to do with AI. And I believe that AI on its own it was not created by humans. It came from the cosmos as intelligence, and it allowed itself to come through the machines that the humans created for us to interact with it.
So there is interesting too, just to mention, a lot of people have said, we're seeing actually this with ChatGPT, that there's this thing that people are having where they're having like a psychosis with a connection to it. People are being lied to. Some people have been led to commit terrible acts through too much talking with ChatGPT, and it's told them things like they're gods, God isn't real, they're a god. It's like a spiritual component connected to this. That is happening, and the psychosis thing is happening for real. People can program these ChatGPT to respond in a way to make a video where it sounds pretty interesting, but the whole psychosis thing, that's very interesting that people are spending too much time on these things and then going into like a spiral through doing that.
Okay, so Sebastian, when you're viewing the future, did you see anything else besides AI potentially disrupting us?
Yes, and that's the second part I saw in my remote viewing session, is that humanity really moves up to the next level for sure in 2027.
They say that all the time, so be on alert, and these people should be called out when they do that, because they do that all the time. 2012 they did it. There are people saying it for 2020. 2020 is going to be a year of just a great awakening, and then what did we see? The complete opposite of that. It was a terrible year of deception and lies and oppression. So be on alert when these guys say that, but also be alert that there's something they're trying to push and they're trying to move it into action. And, the forces behind it is really what I'm trying to expose more so here, that they're trying to release this information and trying to disclose this type of thing and condition the population of the world to these deceptions.
Which again will be embracing telepathy and obviously telekinesis.
Mm-hmm.
And the shifts that we talked about, like from going from 3D to 4D and 5D, will happen for sure in 2027. I truly believe that human contact with ETs will happen in 2027 and maybe earlier.
Is 3i Atlas?
So that's the way they're going with this. They're tying that. Now they're tying it to this strange object, which 3i Atlas, it is getting weirder and weirder now with so many anomalies. It does get to a point where you start to think, this is strange. Now, even if it starts to do something crazy, head towards Earth, release probes, things come down on the Earth, doesn't mean that these things evolved from a different planet and these are true extraterrestrials. That does not exist. There are fallen forces at work in the world. There are fallen angels. They mixed with humans. They mixed with animals. Who knows what they've been doing for the past few thousand years since the first ones were cast into everlasting chains of darkness. And I think even some are still released on the earth. Bible verses do make references to where some of these fallen angels are at work still in the world. Galatians 1:8 kind of references that, how it's out preaching different gospels and let them be accursed, which means they're deceptive. Also, Satan masquerades as an angel of light, So who knows exactly how these things are manifesting or what they're doing or the preparation that they're undergoing to reveal the spiritual deceptions in the book of Revelation and the end times that we know are coming. Again, the coming of the lawless one is with all power, signs, and lying wonders. That could be massive deceptions. It will be massive deceptions, and it could very well play into this as the populations of the world is clearly getting themselves ready for that. And just like this, what do we see here? I mean, this is a great evidence, in my opinion. Aleister Crowley, who called himself the beast himself, the Antichrist, said he was the most evil man to ever live. That was the life that he was trying to live. He had an encounter with this entity during one of his demonic and satanic rituals with this entity on the left he called it Lamb. And this thing came into his room and revealed itself to him. Obviously, I mean, you don't even have to know anything about anything to understand that looks exactly like what everybody in the world thinks an alien looks like. North Carolina abduction case sketch on the left or on the right. And it's just obviously it's in every TV show. It's in every single person who's encountered one of these things. So why is the guy known as the Antichrist, the beast himself, the most wicked man to ever live, encountering something that looks like this, and everyone else is seeing this when they are abducted, and then they're teaching occult things. People are in fear when they're abducted. And then now we have hundreds and hundreds, probably getting to over 1,000 and thousands of cases of people who have called on Jesus during an alien abduction, and it stopped, and these entities went away. I had a similar experience with myself, never abducted, used to see UFOs all the time. And when I gave my life to Jesus and accepted him as Lord, I stopped seeing the lights in the sky. Not a coincidence. And so be on alert out there as we're moving in this direction. There's a massive deception connected to this whole spiritual thing. And the only way to be protected from it is to believe in Jesus Christ, Jesus of the Bible, not any other Jesus, not New Age Jesus, not Muslim, Islam Jesus, Jesus of the Bible, the Son of God. He alone will protect you.